We're talking about a very difficult subject, one that's close to my heart. And that's why I thought I'd come on tonight. Big news just announced by the former supermodel spouse of football star turned sports commentator Tom Brady. Giselle Bundchen and her partner Hakeem are expecting a child, and the news broke the internet yesterday. I think this might be an omen or sign about who will win the presidential election, but I'll save that till the end. One word: Leo. We are going to take a look at the energy of Black Moon Lilith, and we're going to try not to judge people. We are really here to review energy, and it's really the villain symbol in the astrology chart, at least what I've come to know. It's been since 2022 when Brady's divorce was finalized. We're going to be looking at the charts and cards for Tom Brady today and review Giselle's on another show. That'll be tomorrow. If you are interested, just so you know, in making disparaging comments about any party, they have to be approved by me. So don't waste your time. So my aim is to explain the energy, as I said, that Tom Brady has experienced since his divorce and make predictions about what will happen next for him based on his solar return chart or destiny calendar. If you're interested in ordering a destiny calendar delivered straight to your inbox, just reserve time on my calendar so I can create your prediction by going to astrologywithval.as. In your destiny calendar, who enters its positive, what is beneficial, and specifics about finances, family, love, work life, and more. We'll look at this year, 2024, and how you could tell the shock he would experience. I was surprised, says Natalie, to hear Giselle is pregnant with her third baby. If you've watched this channel, you know about Black Moon Lilith. It is nefarious. It changes people over a period of time. And it doesn't just mean people around you, it can actually change you too. You can become the villain and how you are perceived in someone else's chart. And it often shows when people you just can't understand the behavior, just can't understand it. Now, it's very possible that in Giselle's chart, maybe she was feeling the Black Moon Lilith energy when it came to Tom Brady. And perhaps he was someone at that time and over a course of a couple of years where maybe she wasn't getting what she needed based on, situations that they were going through. So it can go both ways. It's going to be tomorrow, Giselle's prediction. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Before I get to Tom Brady's chart, can we talk about the beard? Black Moon Lilith and Algol, which is the last few degrees of Taurus. And we've got Uranus on that right now. So you can see trends. You can see beard trends. And I mean, there's a lot more examples than this. But I personally had a case study when I went through a certain period, which I'm going to show you in Tom's chart. And that's when people either have very jet black hair, and they start to come into your life during a Saturn moon period. Also, when Black Moon Lilith is in a square in your chart, you'll see especially men show up in your life. And there is a devilish quality. I call it the devil's beard. It's like the goatee and the beard. So, and I've seen it in my life happen twice where suddenly Black Moon Lilith will pass over a seventh house lord of mine, or Jupiter conjunct Black Moon Lilith, if it's in a square especially. And then suddenly you're just like, you don't recognize them for a little while. Black Moon Lilith passes over in a matter of months, thank God, not years. So that's good. But it seems as if Tom Brady has been dealing with heartache, depression, humiliation, sadness, all of the things that the Saturn moon is delivering. And that lasts 7.5 years. He isn't even into it halfway yet. So I think he's probably got about maybe almost 4 years to go. Just had to show that beard. And the reason I put this one up is Anna Faris, suddenly her husband left their family. Then, of course, the Ben Affleck, I should call it the Ben Affleck beard, where they just do certain things. And it seems to you, it may not be evil, but most people would consider it evil, and you would think it was just an evil act. There were a couple of other ones too. I want to say Chris Watts was one. So here is Tom Brady's birth chart. It's so interesting, just as an aside, to see all that Gemini there. It shows that he is born to be a communicator. He is a sports commentator now, so he is in this era right now of Gemini. But his wife will be Mars, and Mars is up here, uh, conjunct our favorite energy, Black Moon Lilith. And now, when you have Black Moon Lilith and there is a trine, which is the case here, it's very, very sexy energy. I mean, it is the sexiest. And interesting how his wife has a sister who looks just like her, a little bit like Prince William's wife, Princess Catherine, and her sister. So, two very, very, I guess, sexy, is that the right word? Sisters. But there is a square here with Mercury. Now, Mercury is a little baby, I'm afraid to say, and 8 degrees is revenge, a revenge baby. So that is in his chart. And there's a big T square with Neptune on the other side. Now, I wonder what this is. It's something that has to do with finances. It is pretty much when you have a square or an opposition with Neptune and you're a celebrity, it can show a scandal. It's something that is uncomfortable, unpleasant. So Mars would represent Giselle, but also for any man who has a wife and he's looking at his birth chart, he's going to look at Venus to see what her profile is. And Venus is in Cancer. So that usually means a famous woman. Cancer is very, very famous. And or is facing the public in some way. And in the 9th house shows a foreign wife, foreign famous wife. Now, what's really interesting is that there is a square when it comes to a partner with the moon in Aries. So this is a potential person this is a partner who has a possibility of anger issues, somebody who gets very, very heated. And maybe sometimes, I'm trying to think, sometimes when you activate the 9th house, it's the press. So the press can activate this. The 9th house is also foreign land. So maybe when they're traveling, this might get activated where there's anger issues. But especially with the 9th house, this is publications, press. Wife does not like that, or partner does not like that, which would be a little crazy because she poses in photographs and publications. But for some reason, there is a square to the moon. Well, you know what? The 6th house is his work. So possibility that she doesn't like being part of the promotions. And Aries is an athlete. It's sports, Aries and Leo. So there definitely is something where maybe, even though she knew she was marrying an athlete, maybe there's something that she didn't like when it came to being featured, or maybe how the press even treated her, which I can't imagine they treated her very nicely from time to time. So, hey, Frankie. Yes, this is the other side of it. In my opinion, Tom Brady had a bad job too. He got a woman pregnant years ago. He dumped for Giselle. What goes around comes around. A lot of people are saying that. And right now he is in kind of a karma type of transit. Okay. So here's the transit for today. And this looks very difficult, especially with Saturn. And Saturn, and here's Saturn here, it's rolling through his 5th house of family. And Saturn means despair. So it's a short-term feeling of sadness and despair. and sometimes humiliation too. And so this is really, look at how it's squaring his partner here, the Black Moon Lilith energy. So he's really getting it in a very, very magnified way. And there is Neptune there. So super difficult. And once Saturn moves off of the square, which will probably be, I'm going to say, probably January, he's safe. Things are going to be a little bit less, just kind of like feeling depressed. Now, I want you to look at Moon, and this is his natal moon. And this is a really important planet because it represents your intuition. It represents your moods and your emotions. And Saturn is heading towards it. It usually starts pretty much about now, I would say the last couple of years, actually, Saturn has been affecting his moon. And Saturn and moon together are mortal enemies. And it creates a blackout where it's basically a period of loss. And you have to lose a lot. You get through this. You put one foot in front of the other, and you get rewarded at the end of it. So that's a really good thing. But it is such a time of despair. You go through it 3 times in a lifetime. And many of my clients are going through this. And so it is a super hard time. Your brain does not function properly. And for Tom, if you'll recall, he hooked up, this would be an example, with the crypto king who's now in jail, Sam, whatever his name was. Was it Bankman? And so his intuition wasn't like it would have been a few years before or in a few years because he just wasn't thinking correctly. And then what happened? He was humiliated online. And then keep in mind, he was also featured in the roast. And that was probably the most literal way of being humiliated. So these are basically the feelings that he's supposed to be feeling right now. But he is a little bit different than the average person because we've got a lot of other planets there heading over his moon, including Neptune. And what Neptune does is it basically breaks something down. And the moon is your home. So that's what Neptune is doing. He's just not clear on, family, home. It's a very difficult transit to go through. And that'll be in there for, maybe it'll be a few years before he starts to feel like he's balanced again, like he's ready to start a new family if he wanted to. Now, if you're interested in pulling your solar return chart, go to AstroSeek, and you're going to just put in your birthday, hit the tab for horoscopes, and then in the top right, you're going to see the solar return. Just click the year of your last birthday. So if you haven't had a birthday yet, you're still going to click your 2023 chart, and then you're going to hit solar only. Okay, so this is the year that they got a divorce. And so we start this calendar. The first house is August 2022. And right out of the gate, that first month, his birthday month, I believe, there was a lot of press, like what's going on. People knew there was something going on behind the scenes with him and Giselle. Was he going to retire? That's the other thing about Saturn moon is usually, you'll lose your job, you retire, you have to give a lot of things up, which he's done already so far. Mercury rules that first month for him. And so what did he do? He kind of disappeared. Everybody was like, well, when's he coming back? I think, didn't he take some time off or something like that? Now, Mercury is your mindset, but it also represents him because it's the chart ruler, the ascendant, and the Lord ruled the chart. And he was in the 12th house of loss, of sometimes it can be planning. Sometimes it can be just being in isolation. And we're seeing this with King Charles in his first birthday month, but it's a square. For Tom Brady, it's an opposition to Saturn. This is somebody who is stopping his job, sixth house of job, and it's really depressing. Interesting that the 28th degree is right on the king degree. So for him, the king disappears, or basically his chart disappears. Nobody really knows what's going on. He has a lot of secrets, but things are stopping in the background. He's stopping his job. He is doing whatever it takes to get his wife back, at least in my mind. Now we have Venus for his wife that year, which you're going to look for. And Venus is conjunct Black Moon Lilith. And we've got a big T square, meaning disharmony, fighting. And especially with eighth house and Aries, this is someone who is very angry and willing to be just way over the top when it comes to creating chaos, creating hurt, creating harm. And why do I say that? Because Chiron is right there. And that's someone who wants to rip everything to shreds. Not a little, well, maybe we should. This is somebody, Aries is the warrior. You've basically, World War II starts, Vietnam starts when it comes to the partner, and she takes no prisoners. Venus is in Cancer, the famous partner. And in the 11th house, here's the issue. This was social media, and I'm sure she had gotten a lot of criticism. So she probably took a beating there, which is what that T square may have implied. So the other thing that you can look at in your solar return chart for a man is the 7th house lord. And he had two planets. He had the modern ruler and the traditional ruler, Jupiter and Neptune. Again, you can see 8 degrees. So when you see a lot of 8 degrees and 20 degrees, that's a Scorpio degree. That is somebody who just wants to give it to you, And sorry, but that's the truth. And this is the fact that both planets of his partner are retrograde. This is somebody who is maybe at the end of their rope, not strong enough, not mentally right that year. Could be mentally, but there is something that's holding them back. They're not very strong. Retrograde means weak. And so those planets were also representing his partner. So very, very difficult, especially with that Chiron there. This is wounds. This is wounds of the partner. 8th house showing. I'm going to get them. Now with the 9th house, you can always look at your marriage for that year. What does the marriage look like? And you've got a big shock, 18 degrees, the devil degree. Venus is money. This is a lot of fighting here. And now you want your sun to be in good aspect. That's always a pretty good, I would say, solar return is when you can look at your sun and there are some nice blue lines. It shows that you're confident, you're healthy, you're feeling good about yourself. You might win awards. It's like your day in the sun. But when you have all of these squares, oppositions and 2 squares, this is like, that's not going to happen that year. And why would that be the case? Well, Uranus is a divorce. The 9th house here is marriage. So, but Uranus often shows fast. So she wants a fast divorce. You can see this. She wants it right away. There you go. Boom. You see that blue line? But he doesn't. He's trying to stop it. He is not accepting it. So eventually they did have a fast divorce. And so Uranus would show fast. Brady, there definitely are things that obviously the public doesn't know, but it looked like a raging, I would say even a couple of years there of fighting. This, of course, was just his year. It started 2022 and it ended this would have been July 2023, and then he would go on to his next solar return chart. But This is an evil divorce. This is as evil as it gets. 18 Uranus, then the North Node is like pouring gasoline on something. Think of like an explosion, but Mars is like nails. So it is not good. One more thing, there's Scorpio here. This is betrayal. So usually when you have a square to a point or planet in Scorpio, this is a feeling of betrayal, jealousy, and wanting to take revenge, wanting to feel like they are going to pay for something. And that's just a natural feeling. Not saying that Tom Brady felt like that, but he certainly felt betrayed. 18. So much 18 there. And we often see this in our charts. We have this big square here. This is a grand square. It's kind of like, yeah, this might be a tough year. So there is the partner conjunct Black Moon Lilith right there. The other thing you can see, but a partner has a lover. And why can you see that? First of all, this is Giselle here, and you would just count. And we saw a lover in Ben Affleck's chart, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth house from the seventh is a lover. You can see that Uranus is there. So this is a foreign lover and a future lover. So looks like there's a profile here of this man. Scorpio would show that he has dark or black hair. You could see that there is somebody in here. And if you look at Neptune as the seventh house ruler, you can see there's a connection here. So it definitely looks like in his 2022 to 2023 year, there was something forming with his partner. As much as they don't want to say it, I'm afraid that the charts would tell us otherwise. Okay, so this is this year. Now, August 24th. Now, isn't it interesting? It's always easy to pick out Aquarius because Aquarius looks like a jolt. It looks like getting zapped by an electrical current. And so Aquarius would rule his chart this year. So he just had a birthday. Happy birthday, Tom. And so we're going to look over to Uranus. And that's what we would do for a solar return chart. We would look and see what the chart ruler looks like. And there it is, Uranus. And isn't it interesting that this calendar would tell us what month he would get his big shock? Now, if there are red lines to Uranus, that means that it's a bad shock. Blue lines, a nice surprise. He's got a couple of both, but Uranus also is on the fixed star of Medusa and losing one's head. And there is a possibility for that. So Tom has to be careful here. So this is October. We started August, second house for him was September, then October 3rd to November 3rd. So right on time. Uranus was close to this cusp, so later in October. All right, now we've got November coming up, and November looks very difficult to me. Fourth house has Mars and Jupiter and squaring a partner. This is Venus. And this is extreme. This is a lot of fighting. And here's the problem here. It looks as if Giselle will have some issues. And it's either going to be in November or February. So that being said, I mean, it could be March, April, could be May 3rd to June 3rd. But I'm going to go with November 3rd to December 3rd, February 3rd to March 3rd. And why do I say this? Because there's just an incredible amount of anger here. And it's going to be really palpable in November. So you can see that T-square. So what would you say if you saw something like that? Um, avoid any contact as much as you can anyway. But also wait, because it looks as if she's got some issues, and so you don't want to exacerbate them. Um, but she is in for. It looks like she's in for a shock because Uranus is in the mix here, and we don't want pregnant women going into shocks, but it does look like that. So he wants to lay low right now. Okay. The high risk pregnancy. Well, first of all, so much shock in this chart. I mean, look at all of that Aquarius. And that would be the case for when they would date. And there was the shock that there would be a child. So, isn't it interesting how you can see that Mercury is a child? And so, this is the shock child. Now, what we want to do is we want to look at who Tom is in this. So Mercury happens to rule Tom, and Neptune rules Giselle. Now, Neptune is the planet of to appear and disappear. Good Lord. I didn't see this at first. There's a sextile to Pluto and Black Moon Lilith. That isn't just sexy. That is Victoria's Secret sexy when you've got Pluto next to Black Moon Lilith. So kind of nuts there. But what's happening here is we have a big, big opposition here with all of these planets. Now, remember, Aquarius is Bitcoin. So it is destined for him, I think, to get into Bitcoin. I think he can be very successful doing it, but you can see that the opposition he definitely got himself into. This is a failure. And so how would we know when this is all going to take place? Well, we just go to the transit chart and we see what's happening to their wedding chart now. And Saturn here was pretty much plowing through all of these planets the past 3 years and just upset after upset after upset. This can be changes of direction. It can be a move, which they moved from Massachusetts, just constant change. And so I think that all of that was happening now. Saturn is out of all of that for the most part, but interesting how the moon here, the actual wedding chart itself is going through Sati Sati, which is a loss. It makes me think sometimes that when you want to get married, that the moon is the house behind Saturn, so it can travel a very long time before you go through Sati Sati. You get Black Moon Lilith and then conjunct Pluto, which is basically a nuclear bomb. That's a lot. And you're talking about some really nefarious activity that's going on. The thing is that's so frustrating from, let's say, Brady's viewpoint is that he is seeing this. He's seeing the Black Moon Lilith energy. Just can't believe what's going on. And yet what's being fed to the press is that everything's fine, everything's all happy and whatever. And he's like, and he doesn't have control over that. He doesn't agree with it, probably. So that's kind of happening there. And then, you've got Uranus is going through with a square to some of these personal planets of the wedding chart. So again, the wedding chart is the timestamp of the time they got married. And, Neptune, I just have this thing sometimes, if you're a Pisces or if you have blue eyes, you have the capability of just disappearing. You snap your fingers and you want out. And I think that was the case here for Giselle. Neptune also shows someone who's foreign. And so does Pisces. And so Neptune was down here. So kind of crazy. I wonder if he found out when she walked down the catwalk. Oh, that she didn't walk down the catwalk? No, I mean, he's a guy. I don't think he would have. I don't think he would have figured it out, but he just found out a couple of days ago. So super, super difficult here. And just for fun, I was thinking maybe I should look at the progression. Oh God. Okay, so check this out. If you want to know the state of your marriage, you look at the ninth house. The ninth house is your marriage. And you can see the ninth house, the cusp is going right towards alcohol. So this is, the devil starts to, and the best thing that you can do is you find God, you go to church, you find ways to protect yourself against this energy because it is just going to seem evil. And, there is a storyline in here. I'm not going to say which one that I disagree with. I think it's of the devil. And I it's bad. I hope that they can get through this, but it is not positive. All right. That's pretty much all I had for you. And I'm going to come on tomorrow and we'll talk about Giselle a little bit, but thought it was pretty interesting how too the moon there is in Scorpio. So this is revenge. This is going to be revenge. And Jupiter is also in the wedding chart. It represents the husband. And you can see Jupiter right here. And it's in this little stellium here, Jupiter in Aquarius squaring the moon in Scorpio. So this is a betrayal. The second house is finances. So this can show the betrayal of crypto. So that could be the case as well. But, it definitely looks like it's a successful husband because of part of fortune there next to Jupiter, the groom. But, the groom is going to have troubles in some way because of the moon in Scorpio. Now, the good thing about this is that you can see like this is a fast type of energy, and that would definitely describe Tom Brady on the field, just super fast, like lightning speed. And so Jupiter and also Mercury. Let's see, Mercury in Pisces. So it's interesting, Mercury in Pisces. I would not have expected that. Lots of Pisces. And the Pisces, at least in some charts, I don't think in this chart, but Pisces can often show addictions and, just drinking a lot of alcohol. And I don't think either of them do. I know neither of them do. So Giselle, I think, used to. But I wonder what the Pisces is. Sometimes that can just show the beach. It can show, and here's the other thing. I said I was going to sign off, and I just thought of another thing I wanted to talk about. When you have Aquarius and it's well aspected, which this wedding chart does, it can show the future of something. And you're able to actually look into the future, seeing this code that's in the chart. And so you can see how there's just so much future. This could be the future of sports. Fifth house is the Leo house. Let me see. It's interesting how Saturn rules the family. So where is Saturn? Saturn is retrograde. So the family is lost. So Saturn in the 12th house, or it could be a foreign family too. But at the same time, we have so much here. Oh, here's the other thing. And I saw this too. I think it was September 11th. There were a lot of prophetic dreams around the time right before the planes hit the towers, the Twin Towers. And so Neptune is a dream and Aquarius is a prophetic dream. So makes me wonder if either one of them have had dreams of the future. So sometimes that can happen in your chart, and you don't necessarily need Neptune in Aquarius. You can just have a positive aspect to Aquarius from Neptune. So yeah, this is really fast, but Aquarius also represents a divorce as well. So you could kind of see the future there. She did an interview once and said she was a white witch and would do altars for his games. Yeah. I think what she was doing was Mars is his joy. Yeah, sports. Mars is sports. And, you can also see with Aquarius the height, the height of fame. And I'm sure Super Bowl wins are in there. Sun in Pisces. I don't know. It's going to be more like Leo. Leo in the 11th house. You've got the South Node there. But yeah, that Aquarius definitely means a big, big break. Yeah, I think she knows all about astrology, but I don't think she understands the energy that is around certain people. And I think you pray. That's all you can do. So, all right. So tomorrow, I hope you join me I'm going to do 2 shows tomorrow. I'm going to do Trump and Kamala, and then I'm going to do Giselle's charts as well. So, I hope you can join me. And have a great night, guys. Thanks, Angel D, for moderating for me.